It is said that luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. Welcome to Australian Hunting Backcountry, a platform where we will focus on all things around hunting in the backcountry. My name is Tobias, and I want you to join me as we hear lived experiences, explore gear, tips, techniques, and discuss the unique places that backcountry hunting can take you. I appreciate you coming along with me as I try to increase the knowledge to help us so that we might have better luck in the backcountry. All right, welcome to Australian Hunting Backcountry, and welcome to 2026. This will be the first episode for the year. Very pleased today to be joined by James. I reached out to young James a little while ago with some posts that he had where he had done a bikepacking trip into the Victoria High Country. So James and I have finally been able to connect. So James, welcome to the show.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, all good. Right, so besides that very brief introduction that I just did, tell us about who James is.
So name's James Blatt. I'm from Bendigo, Victoria. I'm 26 years old. I work in the construction game, doing commercial buildings and farm sheds and that sort of stuff. Keeps me pretty busy during the week, and when I'm not doing that, I'm trying real hard to get up in the hills, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds like the rest of us. And when you get up in the hills, mate, is it traditionally a rifle hunt, or are you sort of across some other types of hunting as well?
It's pretty much just all rifle hunting. I wouldn't mind at some point picking up a bow and getting into that, but it just hasn't really happened yet. So we'll keep going with the rifle, I think.
Yeah. Bows are definitely another whole rabbit hole to go down, and another big financial investment. So
100%.
I did that not last year, the year before. Picked up a bow, and my son's picked it up as well, and he's definitely into it a heck of a lot more than I am. In fact, he even said to me the other day, he's thinking you pretty much primarily try and hunt everything with a bow from now on. So it's more money they've got to come up with for him, I guess.
Yeah, it was one thing getting onto a deer with a rifle, but the bow's a whole nother ball game. Yeah, I don't know if I've got that skill yet, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Yep. Well, that if you've got access to that red herd you were talking about, they're definitely a good one to get onto with the bow.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that the country they're in, that sort of around here, it makes them really tricky to get close to. It's sort of it's pretty much dead flat ground, and it's sort of pretty dry around here. It makes it pretty hard to get anywhere sort of close to them within bow range. But you never know. We'll give it a crack one day, I think.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So per my introduction, I sort of what I guess piqued my curiosity with you was some pictures that you put on your Instagram about a bike packing trip that you did into Victoria, and you look like you had some success on that hunt too. So was that the first bikepacking trip that you guys had done, or that you had done?
Sorry, mate, I just lost you for a second there. I only really got half of that.
That's all good. So the bikepacking trip that you posted some pictures of on Instagram, was that the first trip that you guys had done, or the first trip that you'd done?
Yeah, so that was the first time actually going for a backpack hunt. It's been something I've been interested in doing for a long time. And finally got organised and bought all the gear and did it. And it was bloody unreal. I can't wait to do it again.
Mm-hmm. All right. So where did that idea sort of stem from?
I'd always heard of fellas going into this particular area that we were going to, and it was one that we knew pretty well, and sort of do a yearly trip into there. So we sort of talked about it around the fire for years, and just sort of finally decided to do it. And it was a pretty good trip, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. And the blokes that you were on that trip with, are they your sort of standard hunting companions?
Yeah, one of them I pretty much have done all of my hunting with since I sort of started 4 or 5 years ago. Another fellow I just sort of knew of, and he'd actually done a bit of backpack hunting before. And I sort of picked his brain a fair bit beforehand, and he ended up deciding to come along with us, which was really good. It was a little bit of peace of mind knowing he'd done all that sort of thing before and had all his gear spot on. So, yeah, he gave us plenty of tips on what we needed and what we didn't need and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, all right. Now, like a backpacking trip versus a bike packing trip, like generally one's foot powered, the other one's, involving pedal power as well. So you said that this was your first backpacking trip.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But you chose to integrate bikes into it as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So what was some of the sort of things that you needed to consider before the trip in terms of utilising a bike as well?
We definitely all went over the bikes, the mountain bikes that we had, and just made sure that we had just a few tools. I carried in a little tool pack, tie levers, and just that sort of stuff, spare tubes, all that sort of bits and pieces to make sure if we did have a problem with the bikes or whatever, we could get that sorted out. The bikes were really good once we had set up a base camp, because we were obviously close to four-wheel drive tracks. Heading out for that morning hunt or afternoon hunt was pretty good. You could just jump on the bike and cruise along the track to wherever it was you wanted to go, and then leave your bike and head up into the bush from there. So it's definitely something I reckon we'll be doing again.
Yep. Did you already have the bikes, or were these something you went out and purchased specifically for the trip?
Believe it or not, I actually rode my mum's mountain bike in there, and it had bits of pink on the frame. A few of my mates were giving me a bit of crap about that, but all just pretty stock standard. Yeah, just normal mountain bikes that we just already had. So yeah.
Okay. All right. And what were some of the things that you had to look at before the trip in terms of where you were going? Like how did you decide that was going to be the place to go?
Just already had a little bit of knowledge of the area, and it was just a good place to go where we knew there was deer and we could get the car somewhat close to where we wanted to go, and then obviously ride in from there. So that's pretty much all that really went into that.
Okay. So at least one of you had sort of been into the area before, and
yes. So the other fella, Dev, that was with us, we hunt that area once a year, sort of religiously do a trip into there, and sort of had a good knowledge of spots to go and whatnot. So I think for a first time around, that was a pretty good decision as a bit of an introduction to backpack hunting or hunting from the bike, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
All right. So I guess take us through the trip. Tell us the story. I saw some of your mates post there. The bikes were all on top of the Nissan Patrol that you had going. So outside the Dargo pub.
Yeah, so we definitely stopped into the Dargo pub on the way out. That was we were sort of hanging out for that one, but so we knocked off from work on the Tuesday and drove down to Melbourne, picked up the other fella that was coming with us, and headed around into Dargo and whatnot to the gate. It ended up being a pretty late night. We parked up at the gate, and we sort of might have had a few too many Red Bulls on the drive-in. We sort of decided that rather than set up the tents at the car and then ride in the morning, we were just going to do it there and then. So it was about 2:00 in the morning, I think we got going and did about 4 or 5 Ks and crossed 4 rivers. So it was pretty interesting driving.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was obviously all under headlamps on the bike.
Yeah, under headlamps on the bikes. The rivers weren't too bad. There was one of them that was pretty much, we had some shorts on that wasn't far off getting them wet, but for the most part they were pretty shallow. They were obviously very cold, but pretty easy going, really, sort of riding along the river country. We weren't going up mega hills, but there was some steep spots, and some spots where you could just coast down and whatnot. It was pretty good, all things considered.
Yep. All right. And that was the first day, and then you sort of made it in a few k's and pitched camp.
Yeah, so we set up a camp, obviously in the dark, and the next morning we got up and went for a bit of a hunt. Went up, punched up a spur pretty much straight off the track, and sort of got into a couple of deer. Didn't see anything worth shooting though, and then popped back down to the camp we had there, and then moved further in and set up sort of a more proper camp, right in where we sort of wanted to be. So yeah.
Yep. So that second move, was that on the bikes again, or were you just on foot?
Yes, on the bikes again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. How were you finding riding on the roads? Obviously, at that time of year, the gates were shut, so there's no vehicles.
Yeah, correct. It was pretty. I'm not going to say it was great, but it was just okay. Is the word I'd use for it with the packs on. I think my pack with obviously my gun and my bino harness was all up 27 kilos, I think. So you can imagine it wasn't obviously great riding, but it was definitely a quick way to go about it. You could cover a lot of ground pretty quick, especially on them downhills. You could really get going and cover a bit of ground.
Yep. For 2026, I am proud to again be teaming up with Nature's Perks to bring you more content and be part of some of the amazing giveaways that come with one of their memberships. If you sign up on one of the tiers, you will go into regular draws for gear prizes, awesome hunts, and even fishing trips. This year, some of the giveaway hunts include a buffalo hunt in the Northern Territory and a tahr hunt in New Zealand. Nature's Perks also runs courses to help get you started into hunting and processing your own meat. These cover everything from rifle setup and basic shooting to a live butchering demonstration and meat care, so you can get the most out of what you hunt. And alongside these, I am delivering a backpack hunting fundamentals course to give you the knowledge you need to get started in backcountry hunting. Check out the Nature's Perks YouTube channel for some of the hunts and cooking we've already done, and subscribe so you can see what other shenanigans we get up to. Find out more at naturesperks.com.au or message Lawson on Facebook or Instagram. And yeah, so you set up another base camp then. Is that sort of where you stayed, or did you end up moving?
Yes, so pretty much stayed there for the remainder of the trip and just hunted around that area. Saw plenty of hinds and whatnot. We didn't really come across any stags worth shooting. Saw a couple of one-antlered stag and sort of obviously let him go. But yeah, there wasn't too much success around that camp. It wasn't until we actually packed up and sort of moved a bit closer to the car on the final days where it all sort of came together for us in as far as getting some deer on the ground.
All right. Tell me about that then.
So yeah, Jakey on the last morning, he shot an 18-inch stag just off the river country there. I wasn't there for that hunt, but yeah, he was pretty stoked to get that one. It was all sort of doom and gloom there for a little bit, but yeah, as we sort of moved close to the car, it sort of started to come together.
Were you guys just sort of stalking, walking them up sort of thing, or were you doing a lot more glassing and then?
Sort of a little bit of both. One morning, I did shoot a hind. I sort of just cruised along one of the tracks there until I caught some fresh marks heading up the hill. So I sort of just marched straight up the spur, got up into the top of the system, and yeah, sure enough, there was a couple of hinds up in there. So I shot one of them and just whipped the back straps out of it for just a bit of meat around camp and that sort. So yeah, that was pretty good.
All right. So after the stag was down, how much longer were you guys in there for then?
So we did camp the last night. We actually spent it at the car. So we rode back to the car.
Yep.
Jakey had shot his stag that morning, and then it was actually the morning that we were leaving that I shot my stag.
Yeah. Okay.
So we went for a morning hunt, and we were actually ironically found some really good country that I'm sort of really keen to get back to, where we could glass up a big open face. Saw, I think it might have been 5 deer there, a couple hinds, and maybe an 18-inch stag, and maybe early 20s stag.
Mm-hmm.
Actually got to watch a hind get up and sniff the preach tree, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then, sort of late morning, I was cruising along the track, just sort of making my way back. I was poking off the spurs here and there, just trying to get a good look down into the systems and whatnot. And it was punched back up onto the track, and I caught this stag moving up and over this saddle, and he stopped and looked at me, and so I shot him, and that made it all worth it in the end.
Yeah.
After it was looking like we were going to go home deerless, but got it done.
Yeah. All right. So describe the stag now.
So I think he's just a 24 by 23. I think he's not a bad looking deer. Obviously a little bit small, but sometimes it's just the way it goes when they surprise you like that and they're on top of you. You just end up shooting. You don't really think too much about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If he was on a sunny face across from me, sort of feeding away, I'd probably hum and hard whether I would have shot him or not. But nonetheless, he's a nice deer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And what was so you were obviously pretty close to the car by that stage then, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, only maybe 400 or 500 meters from the car. Really, right. Yeah, we'd broken camp, and we're just going for one last morning hunt.
Right.
And, yep. So that's how that went down.
Yeah. All right. So the recovery wasn't too bad then.
Nah, he probably only went 40 meters and piled up. I caught him a little bit far back. He took a step as I shot, but got straight back on him and put a second one in him, and it was all over.
Mm. All right. Very cool. So then I guess the irony is that you went to all that effort to walk past that good hunting ground, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we were talking about the whole way home, I think. Sometimes that's just how it goes. You put all this effort in, and then there's one right at the car, sort of. Yeah, but it is what it is. It won't be like that every time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, you got to take the easy ones when they come, because certainly put in the hard yards on the other.
Yeah, so it is like that, particularly with Samba. They're a real tricky customer to get onto. So when they do present like that or they slip up, you got to make the most of it.
Yeah. And so did that deer make it to the taxidermist, or you just doing a Euro?
Nah, just Euro'd that one. So yeah, I am keen to get one for the taxidermy this year. We'll see how we go. But yeah, it might just be, it was probably a whisker too small. Some people, they sort of just taxidermy it for the hunt, and that's, nothing against that, but I just sort of thought, he's probably a whisker small. So get taxidermied up. We'll save that for another deer.
Yeah, look, it'd be great to, get every deer honoured by getting it taxidermied, but the reality is, there's, $1,000, $1,500 depending on what you do and who you're going with, and you can buy plenty of hunting gear with that sort of money. So sometimes it's just a priority, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I suppose sometimes it's a bit of a convenience thing as well. We don't really have any taxidermists as far as I'm aware where we live. So the logistics of getting it there and getting it back when you sort of got work and all that stuff to go to when you get home makes it tricky.
Yeah, all right. Well, now coming back to the bikes, you kind of touched on it there before about the weight of the pack and that sort of thing. So, because this is one thing that's really interested me. I've went and bought myself a mountain bike a couple of years ago, initially for a training aid, but essentially to trial for doing something similar to what you've done, and covering some country behind the gates. What I found though when I trialled it on a property up here was that carrying the pack and riding a standard mountain bike really changed the whole dynamic of riding a bike. And literally, like in the first 20 meters, I think I went, arse over the handlebars and um, ended up doing a bit of damage. But how did you guys go? Was there any major spills or any major issues?
I did pack some big band-aids just in case, but nah, not really any crashes that I can remember. But I think you just really got to take it easy. And now, one of the only problem I found was when going downhills hard on the brakes, because your pack's up so high.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's a lot of weight there. It sort of made it a little bit tricky as far as you nearly wanting to go over the handlebars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I after the first downhill, I actually dropped my seat down a bit, just to get my body, obviously standing up at those points, but yeah, just to get my body down a bit lower and get that weight a bit further over the back wheel helped a lot. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't really any dramas at all. But yeah.
Mm. Okay, yeah, no, that's a good tip actually, because that was sort of what happened to me. I started kind of going downhill, and yeah, just like I said, I ended up going over the handlebars and caught me unaware. But yeah, I guess the you know your dream equipment for a hunt like that is probably like an e-bike sort of thing. Did you look into those beforehand?
Yeah, I definitely next time around. I think that's the way I'll be going. A mate actually, not long after I'd come back, I went around and I saw one of my mates at his joint, and he showed me his e-bike, and I took it for a ride up and down the street, and I was thinking, oh man, this would have just been absolute heaven up in the bush. They're
Mm.
like electric assisted bikes, but yeah, I don't know how if you'd be too keen on lending it to me, knowing we're going to be crossing rivers and doing all that sort of jazz on it. But yeah, we'll see.
Mm. Yeah, because there are some hunting specific e-bike brands out there. I don't know whether you've seen any of those, but one of the things I noticed, the big difference between those and like a standard mountain bike is actually the length of the wheelbase. So they seem to be quite a bit longer, and I think that length helps to counteract that imbalance that you then have with the pack.
Yeah, yeah, well, definitely a longer wheelbase would 110% help in that regard as for going up and down the hills.
Hmm.
I'm not sure whether what the legalities around riding like those full electric bikes, whether that's allowed or not. I'm pretty sure that the assisted ones are fine, but yeah, I'd have to look into that as far as the full electric bike goes, like the spiker ones and the other ones that you see that people are using. It would be unreal, no doubt about it. But yeah,
Mm.
whether you're allowed in there with them or not, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah. I think when I did ask somebody a couple of years ago about it, I was told back then that as long as it didn't go above a certain wattage, it didn't qualify as a motor vehicle, in air quotes, and therefore could go in behind the gates. Um, so I don't know if that's still the case or not. As you say, you probably have to double check that before you go investing big time into it.
Yeah, if it's something that we can continue doing, utilizing the bikes frequently, yeah, it'd definitely be worth looking into one for
Mm.
sure. It'd be a serious game changer, I reckon, as far as getting around, going for hunts, that sort of stuff, and obviously riding in with all your gear. It'd make it a hell of a lot easier.
Mm. Yeah. All right. So, look, for somebody that is thinking about doing something like this, and so they're a Queenslander like myself, or just doesn't have the time to, or the previous knowledge of the area, where would you recommend for them that they start looking in terms of what country they can access?
I'd definitely be looking at obviously where you can get a vehicle to, and then obviously the track that is leading away from that. I definitely wouldn't be trying to ride up any crazy hills or climb over some of the larger hills that are out there. I think you'd come unstuck pretty quick. But yeah, just maybe somewhere where there's a gate that's somewhat close to river country where you can punch in a long way on a track that doesn't have obviously too many steep hills and that sort of thing. Yeah. Another thing that nearly caught us out, and I didn't really think about it until we were sort of in Dargo, is there's a lot of big river crossings down there, and we actually did a small section of the Crooked River track, which is if you're from Victoria and get up the high country full drive, and I'm sure that's something you had heard of. And yeah, obviously a few deep river crossings made us a little bit nervous with some water over the bonnet and up the windscreen and that sort of jazz. So obviously that's something you need to look at as well when you're thinking about driving into these places. But yeah, that's probably one of the main things on the bike is definitely making sure it's rideable. There's no point taking a bike all the way in there for you to be pushing it for Ks on end, getting up over the hills and whatnot that are in there. So yeah.
Okay. And what sort of gear did you have that was specific for riding the bikes as opposed to like doing a backpack hunt?
Not a whole lot. Pretty much just had a little toolkit with Allen keys and a few small sockets, that sort of stuff. We all had spare tubes. I just electrical taped them to the frames for the bikes. Had a puncture repair kit with tyre levers and patches and that sort of stuff. Just tried to prepare best we could. If we did have any dramas like that, we could sort it out while we were in there. But yeah, other than that, not too much would me pack. If I was to go for just a walk-in backpack hunt tomorrow, and pretty much that stuff would come out, and the rest of it would all be the same.
Yeah. All right. What about clothing, footwear, that sort of thing?
I actually, we were sort of talking of taking in Crocs. Obviously, that's pretty common for river crossings and whatnot. But I was sort of thinking about the points where if you cross a river and you've got wet feet, grit, that sort of thing, to then keep going, pushing bikes up hills and stuff, I thought that would have been a bit average. So we just wore like runners for the ride in. So you could pretty much ride up to one of the rivers, jump off the bike and walk the bike across the river and then jump back on and keep going. And then obviously when we got to camp, just swap them out for the normal boots.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So that's So you weren't taking lycra pants in and that sort of riding pants.
Nah, none of that stuff. Although it probably would have been good. I actually folded up my Hunter's Element jacket and electrical taped it to my seat for the ride out. It was we started to get a bit sore by the end of it. So yeah, that was a little bit of extra padding went a long way on the seat.
Yeah, right. Okay. So a little bit saddle sore, so maybe some of those specific riding pants with that padding in would have been valuable.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And what about gloves? Did you wear riding gloves at all?
Nah, no gloves. I did think about chucking a pair of motorbike gloves in just in case you did come off, just to save your hands. But yeah, no gloves. Yeah, it's pretty much just a pair of shorts and the runners. That was about it as far as for riding the bikes in specifically. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the logistics of getting the bikes actually to the kickoff point?
So we just had a 2-bike carrier that plugs into the tow hitch of the car, and then the third bike we just had up on the roof. So that was pretty straightforward stuff.
Okay. No dramas when you're driving in with the bike on the roof or the ones on the back?
Nah, we were a little bit worried on some of those like steeper hills where the dozer runs off and you get that washout where you go up and down. Some of them are pretty steep. We were worried about picking up the bikes on that as we were going over, but it was all pretty good. We went up some pretty rude tracks and didn't really have any dramas. So yeah. It was pretty plain sailing.
Okay. I am always looking for gear that performs multiple functions, and that's why I'm now carrying the Walk and Stalk Game Bar Carbon Plus. Designed for you to carry less, do more, hunt smarter, Carbon Plus bar is an ultralight monopod system built to handle every moment of the hunt, whether you're day hunting, chasing meat, or on a backcountry hunt. The Carbon Plus bar is just at home with me as a trekking pole in steep country, or supporting me as I'm feeling my way across a creek. The Carbon Plus bar also helps me recover game as a solid drag bar, and then becomes a prop pole or a makeshift gambrel to hang and field process the game. With the range of included accessories, I also have options such as being able to glass steady from any height, including standing, which I really like, taking a supported shot in seconds, and even capturing content. The Carbon Plus bar packs down to just 50 centimetres and weighs just over 1 kilo, so it's certainly easy enough to carry in your pack. One of these will be with me on all my future hunts, and because I'm keen to support small Australian business and my audience, I've secured a 15% discount for you all on the package bundle when you use the code AHB15 at walkandstalkstore.com or follow the link in the show notes. And what about training for the trip?
Probably could have done a little bit more training, if I'm honest.
Everybody could always do a little bit more training.
Yeah,
I guarantee that.
When I had my pack loaded up, I actually took it out to where the bike was, and I just jumped on the bike and I did a real little hot lap around the paddock, and I just sort of said to myself, this is not going to be fun, but yeah, there's no two ways about it. So yeah, do plenty of hunting throughout the year, and poke around in the gym and go for a run here and there, so sort of somewhat stay reasonably fit. So it wasn't the fitness definitely wasn't a problem. It's just probably you get a bit sore in the backside from the seat on the bike. That's about it, really.
Yeah. So you'd probably recommend next time, or for somebody else, doing a little bit more work on the bike with the pack.
Yeah, I reckon. Yep. If we're going to do it again this year, I definitely think I'll spend a bit more time on the bike, and definitely get a bit more fit and try and train my backside up a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
We
won't bother discussing what you're going to do to train your backside on this podcast.
No, we'll leave that one out.
Yeah. Now, in terms of like your food and water and cooking gear and that sort of thing, was there any sort of difference that you did because you had the bikes?
No, it was all pretty much this normal stuff that we would have used if we were just backpack hunting normally, or even just hunting from the ute. Just pretty much standard jet boil and the backcountry feeds and the off-grid sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Sorry, just coming back to the bike gear as well. One of the other things that I looked into as well was a little trailer. Have you done any research on those?
I did look into a trailer, and I actually spoke to a bloke that had done that before. Mm-hmm. He said the trailer was great, but when you would go down hills, he found that the trailer would constantly be trying to overtake him.
Yeah.
And going around the side of him sideways, if you can picture that.
Yeah.
So he said, definitely won't be taking the trailer in again. That was the words he said. So I took his advice on that one.
Yeah. That is one of the things that I heard too. That the because you tend to load it up then, and you're going down a steep hill, it can even slip. One guy I was reading, his report was, it even sort of slipped out and then dragged the back wheel out from underneath him as he was going down a hill, and ended up, skidding down on his knee sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that definitely would not be fun at all.
So, no, that's good, mate. That I think you sort of any other sort of advice that you might come up with for someone looking to do it for their first time.
Definitely, it was an eye opener for me as to how quickly it could go south if you didn't have all your gear on point. Especially after we obviously crossed those rivers. I don't think I've ever been so cold in my life. It made me realise how quickly you would die from exposure in those sort of places. You definitely need to make sure all your gear is spot on. Definitely, take someone with you. It's not something that I'd do solo. If you come off the bike or something silly like that, you could get into trouble reasonably quickly, I reckon. Or if you fell over in one of the rivers, which I nearly did, you'd want to make sure that you get a fire going quick, smart, and warm yourself up. I remember one of the nights in there, I woke up at about 3 a.m. and all the condensation on the inside of my tent was frozen, and she was bloody cold.
Yep. All right. So then I guess in terms of just general sambar hunting, backpacking gear and that sort of thing, what's your sort of standard kit look like?
Just obviously,
So sorry, I'll give you a hand there. So let's start with like the backpack. What sort of pack are you running? And
when I'm day hunting, or is this backpack hunting?
Yeah, backpack trip.
Yeah, so obviously just got a bit of the Cedar Summit gear. I've got their mattress. I just got a cheap tent from Anaconda. I can't even remember what brand that one is. Obviously the jet boil, that's a no-brainer. Just a little self-inflating pillow. Yeah, all that standard sort of stuff. I carry around a little camera and a tripod for a few of the obviously take some photos and whatnot. But yeah, for more of the long range sort of stuff, I definitely recommend getting a camera, video and shots, that sort of thing. Just Garmin Rhino, just pretty stock standard sort of gear for the most blokes that are out there chasing sambar.
Yep. All right. And did you mention your sleeping bag then?
I'm just trying to think of the brand of that. I'm not too big on the brands. Might be a Denali. I think I've got a Denali tent and a Denali -10 sleeping bag.
Yep.
Yeah, they were got them on sale. They were pretty cheap. I couldn't really go past them. I was gonna grab the Cedar Summit sleeping bag, but saved a bit of money there, which was good. Definitely, their mattress is unreal. I can vouch for that. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be going without that one.
Rightio. And the pack that you're carrying all this in?
So it's a Hunter's Element. I think it's a 85 plus 10, which was good having that extra capacity in there, because I was stacking me boots in and that sort of stuff when I obviously had me runners and that on. Obviously got a camera, tripod and whatnot. You soon fill it up. On that particular trip, she was full to the brim. Yeah.
All right. And do you remember which, is it the Hunter's Element Arete pack system that you're running, or?
I can't actually remember off the top of my head. No, I honestly can't remember, mate. I could go and have a look if you like, but I'm not too big on the names and the brands and all that sort of stuff. It was just rolled into the local gun shop and told him what I was doing, and he said that was what I needed, so that's the one I got.
I suppose everybody loves sort of talking about gear, and I get a bit of feedback about gear as well, so it's good, I guess, that you're kind of highlighting that you don't need to go and buy the expensive sort of top end, in air quotes, gear to get out there and have a go and be successful.
100%. That's sort of one of the things I was thinking before the trip is, this might not necessarily be something that's for me. hindsight, I definitely want to do it again. But as far as spending so much money, I got out of it for around $1,000, which was pretty much all my gear ready to go. In the future, I definitely think I'll be spending a bit more money on a bit more of a lightweight tent and try and shed a little bit of weight out of my pack. But yeah, like you said, you don't have to spend a stack of money to get out there.
Yeah.
I think people should just make do.
Yes. Yeah. And look, while I'm a big proponent of buy once, cry once sort of mentality, at the end of the day too, you've got to weigh that up against, if money's a barrier to entry, there's no point, like you said, you spend $1,000 for all your gear. If you're going and spending $1,500 alone on a pack, and then that means that you can't buy any other gear, then you've just defeated the whole purpose of what you're trying to do. Then that delays you getting out there and actually hunting for another however many months. Then do go and buy the stuff that's on sale at Anaconda, BCF, all those places. Grab a Hunter's Element pack or one of the other brands that are a little bit on the cheaper side.
Yeah, I think I actually paid, it was $99 for the tent that I got in the end. And I was going to buy a Cedar Summit sleeping bag, but obviously when I went in there and I saw that the sale, I could get into a -10, -12 sleeping bag for around that $250. I sort of thought, well, I'm just going to do that because if there's something that I might not do again, it's not as bad. But I think in the future I'll definitely be looking into my gear. Is this something I'm going to be doing a bit more often, I think?
Yeah. And that's it. That's the way to go, is to get that gear that gets you out there. Give the trip a go, because like you said, if you'd gone and hated it, your cost of entry is sort of minimal as opposed to somebody that's gone out and invested huge dollars straight away. So build your kit like you've done, and then later on, you can upgrade the tent, you can upgrade this, and you can upgrade the sleeping mat and the sleeping bag, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. As long as it gets you out there, that's the main thing.
Yep. Yeah, very good. And your boots and sock system, what did you find worked for you?
So I'm running the Lao Rangers. I've been running them for a few years now. I think they're pretty good. I think next time round I'll probably give the crispy boots a go. I've heard a few fellas say good things about them. Yep. So once the Laos is looking a bit worse for wear, I might upgrade, I think. Yeah. Another fella that came in with us, he was running the Tibets, the Lao Tibets. They're obviously a bit more rigid and more suited to having a heavy pack on and climbing up the hills.
Yep.
But yeah, sort of. I think you've got to spend money. That's what I did buy a cheaper pair of boots years ago, and I absolutely hated them. That's one thing I will say: a bad day on your feet is a bad day in the bush. If you climb up into those hills and you start getting sore feet, then I don't think there's much worse than that, to be honest.
Yeah, mate. Sore feet, blisters, that sort of thing, that they can be completely debilitating and literally ruin a hunt. It is so difficult when to be out there enjoying yourself when every footstep hurts in some way or another.
Yeah, you can have a cut on your hand or some sort of small minor injury, but yeah, if your feet are sore, that's sort of a showstopper, I think.
Yeah. I've invested a lot of money and time in getting my feet right, and over the years, for that exact reason, because I had trips where I didn't even want to get out of the tent in the morning, to go hunting, and I'd put all this effort into walking into a place and just couldn't face the pain. So 100% agree there. I obviously, boots are a very personal choice too, so it's unfortunately you're going to have to buy a set of boots and go and walk in them and try them, and then if you don't like them, you can't take them back to the shop and get a refund. But I do. There are definitely in Australia, from the people I've spoken to, two schools, and one's the lower and one's the Crispies.
Yeah, sort of like Nissan Toyota, that one. I've got pretty wide feet, and from what I was told, speaking to other fellas, they sort of said, yeah, if you got wide feet, maybe go for the Lowers. I think the Crispies tend to be a little bit narrower. But yeah, I've been running them for a couple of years now, and they're still holding up pretty good. So I think I'm about due for a new set of laces. But yeah, other than that, they've been unreal.
Yeah. Well, I do know that the lower ranges are being upgraded this year. So they are bringing out a different version of the Rangers, and it kind of looks a bit more like the Tibet, but it's still got that kind of medium flex to it as opposed to the stiffness of the Tibet.
Yeah, I'll definitely be something I will be looking into soon. So yeah, I've heard a lot of good reviews about the Crispies, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I ended up it was the local store where I am stocked the Lowers, so that sort of made it tricky. I would have had to have gone for a drive to find any Crispies where I am. So
no, I think I've had quite a few people mention the Crispy Nevadas as their choice for backpacking boots.
Yep.
I will say this: my feet do prefer a stiffer boot, so I'm running a set of lower Tibets at the moment. I do own a set of Crispy Nevadas, and I've used them sort of for the Red Deer Raw and when I was in the Territory, and they were fine for that. But definitely when it comes to carrying more weight, my feet need a stiffer boot.
Yeah, or sort of horses for courses in it, and that sort of somewhat flatter country, you'd probably go for the Crispies you got there. But yeah, if you've got a heavy pack on and you're going to punch up some big hills and whatnot, yeah, definitely go for the Tibets.
Guntraders.com.au is a family-run Australian business and probably the best place to connect with dealers, brands, clubs and service providers like my friends at Down Under Taxidermy. You'll also find licensed Australian shooters, hunters and outdoor enthusiasts on here looking to buy and sell everything to do with shooting and hunting. These guys have set up a modern, user-friendly online platform with reliable search filters, making finding what you need even easier. The server is hosted right here in Australia, so no information is stored offshore, meaning it's secure and trusted. Join the VIP member network and get exclusive offers and discounts. And while you're scrolling on YouTube, check out some of their antics at GTA in the Wild. Guntraders.com.au. Yep. All right. And do you have any problems with your feet generally? Like do you have a special sock system, or are you one of these lucky buggers that can just wear like any old work sock and get away with it?
Yeah, I just chuck the FXDs on usually. Nothing too crazy in the sock department. Never really had any dramas. So never really felt the need to get any of them higher quality socks. I'm sure they are good, but yeah, it's just never something I've looked into personally.
Yeah, fair enough. And you mentioned the camera and tripod before too. So you doing a bit of filming or just photography or mixture?
It's essentially 100% just for filming those longer shots. You get up into that big country with cross gully shots and that sort of thing. You could easily spend a whole day going to look for an animal. It's good to be able to refer back to that footage and say, righto, that shot's made its mark. Definitely going to have an animal down over there, or as opposed to, that one sailed straight over his back or something like that, and then wasting time, getting over there and looking when, obviously it hasn't been hit, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Scrounging around trying to find blood and. Been there.
It's definitely it's one of the things that I don't go without anymore. If I honestly, I probably wouldn't be taking any of them longer shots without the camera. I just wouldn't do it.
Okay. And what sort of camera are you running?
It's just a Canon SX60, I think. 65 times optical zoom, nothing crazy.
Yep.
Still takes not an okay photo, I guess. I'm not really a photographer or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's out to those 700 meters. You can easily zoom in and get a video going as you shoot, and yeah, then refer back to that, and it'll give you a good idea of what's going on.
Yep. Yep. And the tripod you're using, are you glassing off that as well, or is it just solely for the camera?
No, it's just solely for the camera. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's only a little short thing. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky in long grass and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'll definitely probably look to upgrade to something in the future. Probably something that, yeah, obviously can shoot off as well as have the camera on. In some of those steep systems, I feel like, yeah, unless you can find a good tree to lean on, you obviously can't jump on the bipod or anything like that. Yeah, a good tripod that you can chuck the rifle on would be very handy, I reckon.
All right. And tell us about your rifle setup.
So I'm just running a 7 PRC at the moment.
Nice.
I've just started doing all the load data for that. I was a bit I've always reloaded for all of my rifles, but this thing was shooting the factory 180 LDMs. It shot a real nice group with them, so I've been a little bit lazy as far as getting all that sorted out. So I pretty much just ran factories for the last 12 or so months that I've had it. Yeah, just getting into doing the reloading for that now. Yeah, just VX5 on top. I've shot maybe a dozen deer or something with that now, and it's been a real good thing. Coming from a 7 Rem mag before that, going to the 180 LDM has been a big difference, 100%.
A difference how?
Oh, just sort of you get them up close and it's a bang flop sort of scenario.
Right.
I've shot deer at 20 meters with that rifle and shot them at 720 meters, and the projectile's just done its job every time.
Yep. I've just had myself a 7 PRC built and just doing the loads for it now, and I'm I was tossing up between the 160 CXs and the 180 ELDMs, and 160s are a bit hard to get at the moment, so gonna have to work up a 180 ELDM load and run that for a while. So
I think I was looking into the burgers. Obviously the Hornady projectiles are a little bit cheaper and just a little bit easy to get a hold of. So I've just stuck with them, and I've been really happy with its performance so far. Some people will sort of argue that they're not that good up close, but I've shot a few deer with it now. That's sub 50 meters, and it's just absolutely smoked them. Yeah. It sort of dropped them on the spot sort of scenario.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so super happy with how that's going.
All right. Might have to talk off air about some load data.
Yeah, get into that a little bit.
And what is the rifle itself?
It's just a Ticker Rough Tech.
Okay.
They come out with them in 7 PRC early last year. I was tossing up with one of the bigger players, like getting into that carbon barrel and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes I just sort of think, man, this thing's going to get knocked around and dragging it up and down hills and whatnot. So I sort of just settled on that. It's a little bit more affordable, and it definitely shoots. So yeah.
I got to say that Tikka's, for value for money, Tikka's got to be one of the best rifle platforms out there.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put it in a carbon fiber stock, just to make it a little bit more comfier to sit behind in some of those awkward positions, uncomfortable, comfortable positions that you get in when you're shooting up in the hills. But other than that, pretty happy with it. I just did a 4-shot group with it the other day, and about 5/8 of an inch, just laying in the dirt. Out on one of the farms I've got here. So it's plenty enough gun for me. So pretty happy with how that's going.
All right, well, that's good to hear. With the long range stuff that you're doing too, like you said before, you shot out to about 700 odd meters with that rifle. How did you get into the long range? Like, have you done a course, or is this something that a friend's tutored you through, or you just kind of self-educated?
When I was younger, I sort of did a bit of just shooting on farms and that locally around here. And one of these properties was just a lot of big rolling hills, and I actually had a 243 with a Leupold CDS dial on top. And I used to go out there and sort of smoke a few ferals with that, and sort of got into shooting gongs and that at a little bit of distance. That's sort of how that all come about. And obviously you get into sambar hunting. I started off with the salmon hunting, just sort of bush stalking them, and just sort of got sick of, you bust 10 for everyone that you might get a chance of a shot at. So just sort of got into that, getting up into the bigger country where you can glass and take those longer shots. So that's sort of how that got into that.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what's some of the technology you're using for the long range?
It's pretty basic. So I just run Leupold rangefinder, and I've just got the Hornady app on my phone. Obviously one of the boys has got a Garmin chronograph, so we have all that data there, and you just plug all that into the app, and it's worked pretty good so far. So yeah, definitely in the future wouldn't mind grabbing some range finding binos to smooth that process over a little bit as far as ranging animals and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's all basic gear.
Yep. I had that Hornady 4DOF app for a while, and I found that it kept crashing on me, so I ended up changing over to GeoBallistics.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty good, those apps. I think mine was doing the same thing, and I actually just deleted it and re-downloaded it, and that solved that problem on my phone.
Yeah, right.
It's been pretty good for me so far. So
Okay.
it hasn't let me down yet. If it does let me down, I might jump onto something else. But
Yep. Any tips on guesstimating wind for long range?
it's really that's a real tricky one. I think on those times where it is windy, you just either get close or you just don't shoot. I'm sure there's heaps of fellas out there that are way more talented than me that are pretty good at reading the wind and taking those longer shots. But generally if it is windy, I just walk away. Don't there's nothing worse than putting in a bad shot on the animal. So don't. I mean, you can do a little bit of wind, but as soon as it's windy, you just forget it.
Yeah,
that's my personal take on it.
Yep. No, that's good. Good advice, mate. Yeah, sometimes I think people don't educate themselves well enough in terms of how wind can affect.
It's massive, yeah. The best thing you can do is go out there and set up a plate and have a shot in the wind at 500, and you'll soon learn where the limits are there and what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
That's I suppose the biggest thing with it is just time behind the gun and learning. Go out there and set yourself up some targets and just know what your limits are and where you're comfortable.
Yeah, I've even heard some of the guys, the PRS and long range shooters and so forth, target shooters, say exactly the same thing. That as soon as the wind gets over a certain amount, they won't even bother looking out past 400 yards or that sort of thing. They just don't even bother taking the shot. They either sneak in closer or they just watch them walk away.
Yeah, and there's another element to it as well. If it can be windy at the range or the paddock, wherever it is you may be shooting, but you get up in those big hills in the high country, and you might have a left or right 100 meters from you, and then the wind sweeping up 400 meters out, and then a different wind where the animal is. So it makes it quite tricky.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. All right. So sambar hunting in general, mate. Obviously, the bug has bitten you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I sort of started when I was 18. A fellow that I was working with, I didn't even know anything about deer really. He sort of invited me into the high country. And sort of walked up in this gully and got honked by a sambar, and I've just been hooked ever since.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just something about him. yeah, it's so hard to hunt. When you do get one, it's there. It's bloody unreal. So I think that's why I keep going back.
Mm. Well, yeah, living in Victoria, obviously, big advantage for you, being able to access the country fairly regularly.
Yeah, somewhat. It's a little bit of a drive from where I am, but yeah, we do try and get up there in the winter time. Um, yeah, at least get up there a couple of times a month throughout those winter months. Yeah, we poke around a little bit on some private property and head up into the Alpine National Park and do a few trips up in there every year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what's on the agenda for you in terms of the next hunt?
Yeah, definitely wanting to pencil in. We were just discussing that the other day, organising a backpack hunt. Yeah, sort of we head into Alpine National Park in May every year religiously.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll come around pretty quick. In the meantime, sort of just poke around with a few fallow deer and red deer locally until it sort of cools down up in the hills.
Yep. Just enough to sort of fill the freezer here and there.
Yeah, that's right. Take a few off some private property for some farmers where they've been a bit of a nuisance in crops and whatnot over here. But yeah, once it sort of cools down, you sort of forget all about the other species, and yeah, you just all about the sambar through those colder months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And what about a dream hunt for you, mate? So no price limit. No, obviously it has to be a living species on Earth. We can't hunt Tyrannosaurus Rex, but what's a dream hunt for you?
I think definitely getting over to the States and hunting elk would be something that would be pretty high up there. I think I see some of the photos from fellas that go over there and do it. It just seems like the country they got over there is just on a whole nother level. Yeah, it's definitely something I wouldn't mind getting to one day, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a little bit more achievable, like sooner rather than later. Wouldn't mind getting over to New Zealand and going and seeing what it's all about over there and getting into a tar or something like that.
Yeah.
Be a pretty good experience, I reckon.
Yeah. But I think type of personality you are, the type of hunting you do, I think you would fall in love with New Zealand.
Yeah, that's the thing, mate. I think yeah, once you get bitten by the bug for those sort of things, you just can't help yourself but wanting to go back again.
Yeah. Yep. I was over there in 2024 for 3 weeks, and I missed out last year. A couple of things happened. I couldn't go, but I'm off in April this year for 4 weeks this time. And yeah, I have not stopped thinking about that place since leaving.
Yep. I'd love to get over there and get into that Fiordland or one of those places down in there. Just watch a few videos on that sort of stuff, and yeah, it looks pretty crazy over there.
Yeah. All right, mate. Very cool. Well, I guess in terms of where people can find you, follow you guys and your adventures along, where we'd like to point people?
Yeah, so pretty much just on Instagram, James Splat on Instagram. The other fella that I do a bit of hunting with, he's Dev's Hunting Stuff on Instagram. Go give him a bit of a follow if you're into your trout fishing and hunting, that sort of thing. He's got a bit on there. Don't sort of tend to go on Facebook much, to be honest.
Yeah. The Facebook have turned their back on guns and hunters at the moment, so
yeah, sort of forget all about it, to be honest. Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Any plans in the future to be doing a YouTube video or something crazy like that?
No plans in the future. We sort of joke about it every now and again. Got a few GoPros and that there, but yeah, I think I take my hat off to all them fellas that do make the YouTube videos. Yeah, particularly sambar hunting. It's hard enough getting onto them normally as opposed to trying to get onto them and make a video out of it. It'd be so much hard work. So yeah, take me hat off to those boys. But yeah, no plans to get into that anytime soon. As good as it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole again. You've got to look at the camera gear, and there's another expense, and then lenses, and then time editing and that sort of thing. So
yeah, maybe one day. Just for the time being, I'm just happy. Enjoying my time in there, and just focusing on what we're in there to do, and
yeah, very cool. All right. Are you a member of any clubs or anything like that you want to give a plug to?
Just obviously the ADA. They're doing good things at the moment as far as public land access and all that goes. They're sort of flying the flag there in Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a new hunter looking to obviously get into the deer hunting, the ADA is definitely a good thing. If you're looking to learn and hang around like-minded people, definitely be something I recommend joining up for sure.
Yep. All right. Very good. All right, mate. Well, appreciate your time, and
too easy.
Like I said, probably keep chatting, swapping load data, that sort of thing, and updating each other on hunts.
Not too easy. Thanks for having me on.
Hey team, thank you for listening in. If you'd like to contact me for a chat, pass on any feedback, or have some ideas for future podcasts, please reach out to me on Instagram at Australian_hunting_backcountry, or email me australian.hunting.backcountry@outlook.com.au. Thank you, and please remember, look after yourselves and your mates.